Mars was quiet that evening. The wind moved across the red sand like whispers. In a forgotten place, Jason walked alone near the outer fence of the human outpost. His boots sank slightly into the soft dust as the pale sun began to fade behind the horizon. It was supposed to be a normal patrol. Check the perimeter, logged the scan, return before nightfall. He looked up at the sky one more time. Same stars, same silence. Then the alarm screamed. A sudden red flash covered his visor. He turned toward the source. Something was falling fast, burning, breaking the sky open. The object slammed into the ground far beyond the fence. A wave of light and dust rushed outward like a silent explosion. Jason froze for a moment. His training kicked in. He called for command. No response. The storm that had been forming on the far side of the ridge was now strong enough to block all comm. She was alone. He checked his oxygen level. Enough for 6 hours. Then he walked toward the crash, step by step across the dust, toward the unknown. The ground still felt warm. As he reached the site, he saw broken metal spread across a shallow crater. The design was strange. Not Martian, not Earth, not any known colony ship. The ship was small, sleek, half-buried. Lights blinked slowly on one side, like it was breathing. Moved closer. There was an opening, almost like a door inside. He heard something, a voice maybe, or wind, or both. He took out his flashlight and stepped in. The air was warmer inside, almost too warm. Like something alive was near. The light revealed a narrow hallway with smooth walls and flickering panels. He followed the sound. It led him to a chamber near the center of the ship. There he saw them, 2 figures, one adult, one small and still. The adult was on her knees beside the child. Her skin was pale blue, her hair long and silver, her arms covered in a faint glow. She looked up at him, eyes wide, not with fear, but with hope. The child was not moving. The mother placed a hand on the child's chest and looked back at Jason. Her mouth moved. She spoke in a language he could not understand. Jason stepped closer. He knelt beside the child. He could hear a faint breath. So slow, so weak. He opened his medkit, but none of his tools matched the biology. He looked at the mother again. She pointed at his arm, then at the child, then made a motion like flowing water. Jason stared at her, confused. Then the translator device on his wrist clicked once. Only a single word came through: blood. Jason understood. The child needed blood, and she believed his might work. It was insane, dangerous, impossible. But Jason looked at the child again, and something inside him moved. He had seen war, seen loss, but this was different. This was life. Trying to hold on, he pulled a clean tube from his kit, connected it to his arm, then carefully to the port on the child's neck. He adjusted the flow and waited. The mother sat back, watching with silent focus. Jason felt dizzy. He had given before in emergencies, but never like this. Then it happened. The child's fingers moved, a small breath, then another. Light in her chest pulsed slowly. Jason smiled. He had done something right. The mother leaned forward. Her hand touched his arm. Warm and gentle, she said something again. The translator struggled, then translated just one sentence: "You are now part of us." Jason blinked, not sure what it meant. Then the ship around him made a low sound like a heartbeat. He stood up, looked at his wrist device again. Still no signal. He turned toward the door, but it was no longer open. He looked back at the mother. She was watching him, not with anger, not with fear, but something deeper, something ancient. Jason reached for the panel near the door. It did not respond. Jason could not sleep. The ship was quiet, but never silent. It hummed like something alive, something watching. He sat near the wall, eyes half closed. His arm still felt sore from the blood transfer, but his heart was heavier. He looked at the child. She slept peacefully under a soft silver blanket. Her skin was brighter now, breathing steady, small hands resting on her chest. She looked almost human, but not quite. Jason stood slowly, moved to the next chamber. The mother was there. She sat near a glowing console, head lowered, eyes closed, but she was not sleeping. He walked closer. She opened her eyes, as if she felt him before he made a sound. Jason spoke carefully. "I need to contact my team. They will worry." She shook her head. No voice, just motion. Then she touched a small crystal on the console. A soft light appeared. The translator activated storm block signal. No contact possible. Not yet. Jason looked around. The room was strange, smooth walls, moving lights, symbols he could not read. He turned back to her. What is this ship? Why was it flying near our zone? She stood, moved closer. She was taller than he expected. Graceful but strong, she touched her chest. My name is Sari. I am Felari. This is a life vessel. I came to find safety and something more. Jason looked into her eyes. They were deep blue, no pupils, just shifting light. He spoke again. You said I'm part of you. What does that mean? Sari looked at him for a long time. Then she answered, Felari child cannot live alone. She must bond with one who gives life. Your blood saved her. Now her blood carries your code. That is a vow. Jason shook his head slowly. I didn't agree to any vow. I only helped. It was the right thing to do. Sari stepped forward. We do not force, but blood is sacred. Life past is bond shared. Jason turned away. He felt trapped again, but not by walls, by something heavier. He asks, so what happens now? Sari answered calmly, you can stay, raise the child, become part of the line. Or you may leave when signal returns, but know this, if you leave, her body will reject the bond, and she will die. Jason froze. That weight in his chest grew larger. She will die. Because of him, or because of his absence. He whispered, that's not fair. Sari looked at the sleeping child, then back at him. No, it is life. It chooses without asking. Jason sat down. He buried his face in his hands, tried to think. He remembered. Earth-crowded halls, command orders, endless silence after missions. No one ever waited for him. No child ever called him father. He looked at the girl again, her breathing soft and warm. Then he looked at Sari. Why me? You could have picked anyone. Another Thalari. Another species, she answered without pause. We searched for many cycles. Your blood was the first to match. Your spirit is rare. You gave without gain. You protected without fear. Jason said nothing. He just sat there, listening to the ship, to his own breath. Sari walked closer, then sat beside him. Her voice softened. You may leave, but if you stay, you must finish the bond. You must accept what has begun. Jason did not answer, but his eyes. Jason stood in front of the chamber. It had opened like a blooming flower, quiet, slow, full of purpose. Inside was a suit, not metal, not fabric. It moved slightly, like it was breathing. He stepped closer, raised his hand, touched the surface, warm, soft, alive. It pulled back for a moment, then shaped itself around his fingers, like it knew him. Jason looked at Sari. She gave a small nod. It is yours. The suit has chosen you. It is Thal-Ari grown armor. It bonds with your body, protects it, learns it, becomes part of you. Jason pulled his hand back. He stepped away from the chamber. Why do you have this? Why is this ship here? Why me? Sari looked at the child first, then at Jason. Then she sat down near the wall. It is time you knew the truth, not just of me, but of my kind. Jason sat across from her. The ship dimmed its lights. The hum became softer, almost like a whisper. Long ago, the Thalari were many. We lived across 5 moons. Our cities were tall, our sky full of music. We were thinkers, healers, mothers, fathers. We had no war, only progress, but we made a mistake. We trusted a race who came from the dark. Tall beings with cold eyes. They came with gifts, technology, power. And we took them. We let them change us. At first it was good. We grew faster, lived longer. Then we began to lose our children, one by one, year by year. Our people became fewer. Our bond weakened. We tried to reverse it, but it was too late. Our bloodline began to fade. Jason listened without blinking. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Sari looked up again. The council sent out life vessels, each with one mother, one child, to search the stars, to find a cure, to find new life that could bond with ours. Many were lost. Some were taken. I am the last one, still searching. I found you. Jason felt something rise in his chest. He tried to speak, but the words were not ready. Sari continued, your blood, your genes, they awakened her. They brought light back to her body. You carry the code, the missing piece. Jason whispered, but I'm human. I'm not special. Sari shook her head. You are not just human. You are a choice you gave without asking. That is the rarest kind of life. Jason looked away. He thought of Earth. He thought of command, of missions, of orders, of people who only called when they needed something. Here, On a crashed alien ship he had found meaning, and now that meaning had a name and a face. He turned to the suit again. What happens if I wear this? What do I become? Sari stood beside him. You will become more faster, stronger, able to live in our world. But more than that, you will be bound to her, to me, to the future. Jason took a breath. And if I don't? What happens then? Sari's eyes darkened. The bond fades, the child grows weaker. And our line ends. Jason closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the child calling him father, the warmth of her hand, the trust in her eyes. He turned back to the chamber. The suit opened fully. Waiting, not forcing, just offering. Jason stepped forward. He reached both hands inside. The suit moved quickly, wrapped around him, molded to his chest, his arms, his legs. No, the sky above the ship turned red. Jason stood near the control room window. His hands clenched, the suit wrapped around him like second skin. Enemy ship hovered above Mars, like a shadow with teeth, dark, sharp, breathing, something that was not air. Not life. Sari looked at the alert symbols flashing on the wall, her face calm, her voice steady. They are not here to talk. They came to take her. Jason stepped forward, his voice low over my dead body. Sari turned to him. She studied his eyes, then nodded. Slowly then, you must face the fire. You must take the trial. Jason looked confused. What trial? Now we don't have time. Sari raised her hand. The ship responded instantly. A door opened behind her. Steam poured out. Light flickered from inside. She walked toward it. The trial of flesh and fire. Every bonded one must pass it. You wear the suit, but it does not obey you fully, not until you are chosen. Not until the trial accepts your soul. Jason hesitated for a moment. Then he looked at the child. She was sleeping again, her little hands glowing softly, her breathing slower than before. He nodded, walked toward the door, and entered the room. Closed behind him. Darkness swallowed everything. No sound, no light, only silence. Then fire, not real, but it burned inside his mind. Old memories, old pain. He saw Earth again, war noise, faces he had forgotten. He saw the boy from his old unit, bleeding in the dust, begging for help. Jason had frozen. Too slow, too afraid the boy had died. That pain returned, cutting deep, not physical, but heavy, heavy like shame. Then the fire changed. It showed Sari the child, but this time they turned from him. Their faces cold, their hands empty. The voice of the suit spoke inside his head. You give life, but do you accept loss? You wear courage, but do you carry truth? You want power, but do you understand cost? Jason dropped to his knees. He screamed, but no one heard. He closed his eyes. He let the fire inside burn. He whispered into the dark, yes, I failed before. I was not enough, but I chose to try again, and I will keep choosing, even if I fall, even if I burn. The silence returned. Then the heat vanished. The air cooled. A soft light touched his face. He opened his eyes. He was standing again. The suit was different now, not just wrapped around him. It was glowing from within. Blue lines along his arms, symbols on his chest. His heart felt stronger, his breath deeper. Like Mars itself was no longer choking him. The door opened. Sari stood there, her eyes wide. The glow from his body reflected in her face. The ship recognized you. You passed. Jason stepped out. The child ran into his arms, laughing, alive, stronger. He lifted her without thinking, spun once, held her close. Then the ship trembled. The enemy vessel had landed. A voice echoed through the walls. It was deep, cruel, unnatural. Return the child, or we take all. Sari's face turned hard, her voice sharp. They are called the Drakh. They once helped us. Now they drain worlds. They want the child not to save her, but to use her as a key to open the blood vault. Jason looked at her. What is the blood vault? She answered, a place we locked away long ago. A weapon, a living core of Falari creation. Jason stood in the dust. His blades pulsed with light. The Drakh soldiers lay broken around him. But the battle was not over. Sari called out from the ship another signal. Stronger, faster, not fully. Drakh turned to the sky. Another ship was coming down, black and silver, bigger than the last one. It landed with a sound like thunder. The doors opened. Figures stepped out. Not Drakh, not Falara humans. Since froze. They wore Earth military suits, heavy armor, Same design he had trained with, but their faces were different, empty, cold, controlled. Sari stepped beside him, her voice tense. They are bonded, mind-controlled, half machine, half. Drak Yasin felt anger rise in his chest. They were his people once. Now they were weapons. The lead soldier stepped forward, removed his helmet. Jason's breath caught it. It was Commander Rourke, his old leader. Dead for 5 years. Or so he had thought. Rourke spoke. Jason, you always had a habit of going native. Jason's grip tightened on the blades. Rourke smiled, but it was not real. His eyes were dull, synthetic veins ran through his skin. You don't understand the gift they offer. No hunger, no death, no choice. Only purpose. Jason shouted. That's not life, that's control. Rourke pointed at the child. Give her to us. She does not belong to you. Jason stepped in front of her. She does now. She's mine. Rourke gave a small nod, then raised his hand. The soldiers aimed their weapons. Jason looked at Sari. Get her inside. Now Sari picked up the child, ran back into the ship. Jason stood alone, his blades humming, his heart racing. He had passed one trial. Now came another, the trial of choice. He did not want to fight his own kind. But they were not the same anymore. He looked at Rourke one last time, then charged. The fight was brutal, fast. Silent metal clashed with living fire. Sparks flew, dust rose. Jason moved like the suit had become his second skin. One by one, the soldiers fell. He did not kill them, only disabled, but it hurt more than any wound. Every time he looked into their faces, he saw old friends, lost forever. Rourke was the last. They fought near the crater edge. Every blow shook the ground. Rourke moved like a machine, predictable, strong. But Jason fought with something more: memory, pain, love, and choice. He disarmed. Rourke held him down, but Rourke smiled again. You think this matters? They are already inside. The girl is calling them. Jason's eyes widened. He ran back to the ship, through fire, through broken walls. He reached the child's room. She was awake, eyes wide, floating slightly above the floor. The glow around her was too bright, too wild. Sari stood near her, trying to hold her back with gentle words. Jason rushed forward. The child looked at him. Her voice was distant, mixed with something ancient. They are calling me. I hear them. Jason knelt down, held her face in his hands. No, you don't belong to them. You belong here with us. With mesh blinked once. The glow faded. She fell into his arms, tears running down her cheeks. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Jason held her close, his voice. The ship floated above the Martian ridge. Smoke still rose from the battlefield below, but inside everything was quiet. Jason stood near the window, his eyes fixed on the stars. He had made his choice, not just to protect, but to stay, to belong behind him. The child laughed softly. She was playing with a small glowing orb, a gift from the ship's core. It responded to her touch like it was alive. Jason smiled, then turned as Sari entered the room. She was calm. Her silver hair flowed down her back. Her robe shimmered faintly, but her eyes, they were heavy with thought. He asked gently, is she all right now? Sari nodded. Her bond is stable. You brought her back. No one else could have. Jason sat down. The floor felt warm, soft, like living stone. He looked at Sari. What now? What happens after this? Sari moved closer. She sat across from him, their faces lit only by the ship's soft light. Now we prepare for what is coming, and we complete the bond. Jason tilted his head slightly. I thought the bond already happened when I gave blood, when she called me father. Sari's voice lowered. That was the beginning, the seed. But the bond is not just with the child, it is with me, with all of us, with our future. Jason stayed quiet. He watched her carefully. She continued, are human. We are Thalari, different bodies, different ways, but our minds, our emotions, they can meet, they can share. The bonding is not forced, it must be chosen. And it changes everything. Jason's heartbeat slowed. What will it do to me? Sari reached forward, placed her hand gently on his chest. It will show you everything, who we are, what we remember, what we fear, what we hope. You will carry us, and we will carry you. Jason felt the warmth from her touch. Not just physical, it went deeper, into his thoughts, into his pulse. He whispered, why me? Why not find someone from your own kind? Sari's eyes softened. Because your kind does what others do not. You give without asking. You protect without understanding, and when you lose, you still try again, Jason. Closed his eyes for a moment. The silence between them grew strong, full of meaning, full of choice. He opened his eyes again, ready. Show me. Zari placed both hands on his temples. The room darkened. A soft pulse began to echo. Jason felt himself floating. Saw visions, a great tree growing through stars, branches touching planets, leaves turning into light. He saw children laughing, running through silver fields. He saw war, a world burning, a mother crying alone in the ashes. Then he saw himself holding the child, fighting in the dust, smiling for the first time in years. His memories mixed with hers, with Sari's, with the voices of the ancestors he never knew. When he opened his eyes, he was crying, but not from pain, from understanding. Zari wiped the tear from his cheek. Now, you are one of us. Jason looked at the child. She smiled again, this time brighter, like she felt the bond too. For a short moment, it felt like peace had returned, but peace never stays for long. The ship suddenly dimmed. Warning symbols flashed on the wall. Sari stood quickly, her voice alert and known. Transmission deep frequency, encrypted. Jason followed her to the console. The screen flickered, then showed an image, a Thalari woman, but not like Sari. Her skin was dark violet, her eyes burning red. The voice came next, cold and slow. The child you protect was not yours to keep. She belongs to the blood circle. She was marked before birth. Return her, or be erased. The sky over Mars turned black. A ship blocked the light, larger than anything Jason had ever seen. It was not Thalari, not Drak. It was both and more inside the human Thalari vessel. Jason stood in silence, his suit now fully alive, the bond complete. His heartbeat synced with the ship, with Sari, with the child. Sari moved across the control deck, her face calm, but her hands never stopped working. Symbols flashed across the walls, defensive systems, shields, escape routes. Jason walked to her. We fight here, or we run. Sari turned to him. We hold for as long as we can, until the others arrive. Jason paused. Others? She nodded. You were not the only one to bond. Others like you across systems. They heard your signal. They come now, not just to fight, to join. Jason looked out the window. The stars pulsed like quiet drums, a sign of hope or a warning. The child entered the room. She walked straight to Jason and handed him a small crystal. This is yours now. My name, my voice, my memory. Jason held it in his palm. It glowed warm, soft, then faded into his skin. She had given him her name, something sacred, something eternal. The ship shook. A beam of light struck the outer hull. No damage, but loud like a knock before war. The screen lit up again. The dark Thalari woman appeared, her eyes glowing red, her words smooth and sharp. You delay the end, but it always comes. Jason stepped forward. No, it begins with us. It begins now. She tilted her head slightly. You protect her, but do you understand what she is? She is not just a child. She is code. She is key. She is seed. Jason didn't blink. And she is mine. The screen cut off outside. The black ship opened its sides. Thousands of drones poured out, red lights, dark wings, sharp limbs. Jason turned to Sari. Send the signal. Bring the others. Sari lifted a crystal, spoke into it. We rise now, all of us. The ship responded. Lights pulsed, wings unfolded. Jason walked to the platform. The child followed, but Sari stopped her gently. Stay inside, protect the core. This is not your war yet. Jason looked at here. You're not coming. Sari touched his face once. You are the fire now. Go. Jason stepped out. The outer hatch opened. Wind rushed and dust rose. His boots touched the surface of Mars again. But this time he was not just a man, he was legend. The drones rushed forward. He moved faster. Wings lifted him. Energy wrapped around his arms. He struck first. Light split the sky. The ground shook. Battle was not long, but it was loud, full of screams, full of silence. Jason moved like a storm, not just to win, but to protect. Then the others arrived from the stars, ships made of light, voices of humans and Thalari. Together, one by one, they joined the fight. Some were like Jason, bonded, changed, starborn tugger. They pushed the dark fleet back. The black ship trembled. The dark Thalari woman screamed. She fired one last weapon. A beam of pure red light aimed at the child's chamber. Jason saw it. Too fast, too strong. He flew not to block it, but to take it. The beam hit him full. The sky lit up, then silence. Ari screamed his name. The child fell to her knees. The beam faded. Smoke cleared.